off. So hello, thank you for joining us today. My name is Callie Rouse. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a senior intercultural program advisor at CGIS, LSA Study Abroad office. And I'm hosting today's webinar, which is all about STEM abroad options for students who are thinking about winter 2025. And I have two lovely guests here who are specialists and know so much more about their particular disciplines than I do. If you guys want to introduce yourself really briefly, Katie and Sam.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Katie Schust. I'm the undergraduate program manager for psychology, also work with BCN majors.
And hello, I'm Sam. I am for both bio and neuroscience, the study abroad coordinator, among 100 other things, and I'm happy to help you out with those.
Awesome. Great. So basically, we're going to kind of break this down in a couple of different ways. So first of all, we're going to be talking about programs by major. So we're going to go through some of the top majors in the STEM realm that our students go abroad on and talk a little bit about like this, the kind of the specifics of how that particular department works. And then talking about programs that might be a good fit. First of all, we'll talk about programs that are really particular to that kind of subject area. And then at the end, we have the multidisciplinaries program section, which is for all of the kind of programs that kind of touch on a lot of other things, which is even more than, what is already discussed before. And then we'll have an additional notes section for course approvals, multiple app policies, financial aid scholarships, and resources. I'd also, if you guys want to share the students that are here, I would love to know in the chat too what particular majors you guys are coming from, so I have an idea of like who is in the room with us as well. Awesome. Cool. Well, I will get us started off with talking about a couple of quick notes. So first of all, there are some programs that are going to be noted down with an asterisk next to it, and that means that they are competitive programs, and we do recommend applying for a backup program in the case that you're not able to get into that particular program. And the programs that are listed on the pages are not the be all end all. Do feel free to search for programs throughout our other program offerings. I know one of the big thing is like, unfortunately, a lot of our STEM tends to be pretty Eurocentric. But if you're like, I really want to look in a place that's not in Europe, don't feel like you're like totally limited to this list. And also, like I mentioned, programs that cover multiple areas are going to be listed in the bottom. Awesome. It looks like we have computer science, EEB, and neuroscience represented, which is great. So getting started off we'll talk about BCN, neuroscience, psychology, and CogSci with two particular programs we're going to highlight here. So yeah. Can you talk a little bit, Katie, about the BCN psychology side of things?
Absolutely. So students interested in studying abroad under our majors are in luck because we do have a lot of pre-approved courses out there. With psychology, there tends to be a little bit more flexibility just because that major is a bit more broad. BCN being a bit more nuanced, sometimes we do have to try a little harder to find multiple courses, but generally you can find at least one course for these majors pretty much anywhere. We maintain a database of all of our previously approved courses, which is available on our website. It's just a Google Sheet where you can find those. And we also have a petition process for any courses that are not already in that database that you might want to submit for review for possible inclusion in a psych or a BCN major. We have a pretty quick turnaround time with reviewing those. Usually we can get back to you within a few business days. We're pretty responsive to questions, so you're welcome to come see our advising team, set up an appointment, drop in and see peer advisors, and we'll be there to help you stay on track while you're abroad.
Awesome. Yeah, and I am going to chat about the other topic that's on this slide, which is CogSci. So CogSci also is one of our really great partners in that they have a pre-approved course list, not saying those who don't are not great. But it's a little bit easier. And students are able to search through the CogSci database, utilizing it by seeing if something is either kind of like a core course or it's an elective course that will transfer on a specific track. And if it is specific track, it will list that particular track that it works for, like computation track and so on. Pro tip is to not use up both of your off-track elective or like courses before going abroad. Those are often good ones to get done while you go abroad. And they also do have a scholarship for majors that is available. Neuroscience, I will hand it over to you.
Yeah, so for neuroscience, and this will actually be very, very similar for all of biology and BHS as well. Very importantly, we do not have that beautiful database of pre-approved programs. And so every program that you want to take abroad will have to have individually evaluated. And we have on our website a lot of information about how to go about that process. There's a form that you'll fill out, and you'll just put in some information about the courses you're planning to take, what you're hoping for those to count for, and then we'll review those usually within about 7 to 10 business days. Most of the time a lot quicker, but that's sort of the official turnaround time. When it comes to neuroscience and many of the other bio majors, it's very, very important that you plan far in advance for when you're going to take these, especially if you're thinking fall or winter term, mainly because if you're going abroad, there are some courses that you won't be taking here that you want to make sure you don't fall behind on and delay graduation because of that. And so please, please, please see advisors earlier rather than later if you're thinking of going abroad for these majors. But for neuro specifically, most of the time, think about going abroad for group B or C courses. In other words, not your labs. That goes for bio as well. Labs abroad don't tend to be approved very often. In fact, I can't think of a time when they have been. And in that same note, independent research is an amazing experience, but it is not something that we take study abroad credit for. So by all means, do it. These are great, great opportunities for your CV, for your, networking, all those great opportunities, but just not necessarily for your major. One of the bottom lines for both neuro and bio is to go abroad for experiences that are great for things outside of your major, as well as things that you're interested, but don't necessarily expect to get a full term of neuroscience completed while you're abroad, if that makes sense.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of programs that can be good and well suited for students who are in these different major areas. So first of all is Psychology and Sciences in Amsterdam. This is a brand new program that we've just launched. That has an application deadline that's a little bit earlier than usual. So we will indicate app deadlines on all of these. 9/15 is our most standard. This one is a little bit earlier due to the fact that it is competitive, but it is located in Amsterdam, and we work alongside a partner, IES, which we will apply for both mCompass, which is our database that we use, so where everybody applies, and then also with IES. And students can earn between 15 to 17 credits. And the cool thing with this one is that you kind of get a mix of studying alongside, just your European or your both European classmates and American classmates. So for 2 to 5 of the courses, you will go to VU in Amsterdam and study alongside locals. And then you can do up to 3 courses at the IES Study Abroad Center as well. There have been multiple courses that have been pre-approved at this program already, when you can check out the course offerings, and then you will be living in IES provided housing, and the advisor for this one is Sarah. You'll see my name come up a lot on this list, but do be mindful, I can't do all of the stems, so there will also be a bunch of other advisors listed here too. So next up is psychology and neuroscience in Buenos Aires, Argentina. This is another new one. We are excited to announce this one, where students are able to work kind of similarly, going and taking classes at IFSA, our partner down in Buenos Aires, as well as studying at a local university. This is a normal standard deadline of 9:15. Students will earn between 15 and 18 credits and stay in homestays. This is Juliana, our Spanish language program advisor, and also Latin American advisor portfolio. It's in her portfolio. You don't have to have a background in Spanish to be able to do this program, but this one can be really great for somebody who's really interested in being in a Spanish speaking country, but also wants to get psych and neuroscience credits abroad, because the other offerings we have during the academic year in Spain itself aren't super well suited for students in this major. Also do want to know though that the calendar is a little bit different. It starts a bit later than we do and goes a little bit longer into the summer. So be mindful of that when thinking about applying for this program, that the calendar differs from what you may be used to. So next up, computer science. So for computer science students can utilize the Michigan Engineering International Course Equivalencies database. So this is something that's actually maintained by the folks over in engineering to look through pre-approved courses. And CSLSA students can also utilize this. However, they should only be utilizing it specifically for things that are listed under EECs. Things that are minors or distribution items, they should be going through the general or minor or general advisors. And the only thing is, the only program I would say don't use that above link for is the computer science in Prague. It's uniquely designed to be very well suited for our majors. And some of the things that it says like you can do abroad are actually going to be more for CS engineering students versus CSLSA. And students are permitted to take one CS like 401X, or like a 301X type of course via the expanded upper level CS requirement. And then any other courses beyond that will contribute to general electives. There is an exception with the Computer Science in Prague program, which I'll talk about in a second. But CS students should always be consulting with their major when it comes to figuring out whether to commit to a program, just to make sure it's going to be a good suited for you. So the Computer Science Tech Career Accelerator in Prague is probably the most one you think of like kind of top of mind when it comes to a good computer science program abroad. It's a really interesting one. We worked alongside our partner IFSA to actually create this program where it is very customized to the needs of Michigan CS students. And so for that reason, students are actually able to not only get one of those expanded upper level CS classes abroad, they can also take a course that will count as their CS capstone while abroad on the program. Students will take between 13 to 16 credits, taking that mandatory course, which will count for your capstone, as well as one essential Czech language class. And there's a whole listing of other classes that you can do in the major abroad on this program too. And you'll be living in apartments alongside other students on the program. The application deadline is a little bit earlier on 9/1, so be aware of that. And also for CogSci students, this can be a really great option too to look into for CogSci computation track students. Just make sure that know that a lot of the language is really centered around CS students. So always check in with CogSci about how that might be changed over to work for you in your major. Next up is mathematics. With the math department, they have a pre-approved course work list on the math course equivalency site. So this is a kind of a similar database to the ones we've mentioned previously, where students can search through and find something that's already been pre-approved by math. Students, if they're looking through this, they should be searching by country or city under the advanced search option for best results. And if it's not listed, you can go ahead and get this course evaluated by the math department. I would say for math, because it's less common to find kind of like at a general study program that are like center-based study programs. The particular program, the Budapest Semester in Mathematics, which I'll talk about in a second, and a lot of our university study programs tend to be really best suited for our math majors. So getting into Budapest, so this is a really cool program. Budapest is known for its mathematics. This is a competitive program to get into, but it's a very cool one. Students will take between 12 to 18 credits. You'll take at least 4 classes on the program. And also students not only will be able to have kind of like a full curricula of math courses, if there's something that you're like trying to look into and you're not really finding it there, you can also request to do like a math independent study with one of the professors there. So very cool program, and students will stay in an apartment or a homestay in Hungary. And then next up is our pre-health, public health, and biology, health and society majors. These ones kind of like all kind of smushed together as ones related to health. So for pre-health and for health majors, so for pre-health, do note that any pre-professional like requirements that you need to be able to get that designation for pre-health, they cannot be taken abroad. So it isn't good, like if you're like, oh, I'm like trying to get some of those credits out of the way, those really generally aren't ones that you should be looking at. You should be looking for things more related to like particular majors. However, this can really, if you're trying to think of like, how do I make a standout application, going abroad and, studying abroad for language acquisition, your distribution, your major minor credits and experiential learning can really bolster your resume and, make you a standout candidate. For health related majors, so for students who are in gender and health, you can get requirements abroad as long as the courses focus on both gender and health. So just make sure that they're hitting on both of them. And gender and health does have a database of courses that they have already pre-approved. It might not be as long, but you can definitely look as well. And then overall, and students in other health related majors should contact their departments about how they can use, study abroad towards their degree. And then next up is a little bit about BHS and bio, which you can speak briefly to.
Absolutely. BHS, we have a lot of BHS students who like to and want to go abroad, and we definitely encourage it. But just as I was saying a little bit earlier, for neuroscience is very similar, that we do not have a list of pre-approved courses. You're welcome to petition any course that you find through CGIS and whatnot, and we're happy to review it. Your best odds, if you're a BHS major, are for going abroad for Group B in particular. That's your health and society requirement. Core biologies, or really any biology abroad for BHS, is probably going to be a no-go, as are still labs and things of that nature. I just want to make sure that I'm as transparent as possible on that. But health society requirements, absolutely. If you happen to be going abroad for intro bio, we can talk about that. But we do have a lot of students in BHS that are also doing other things outside of their major. It is so interdisciplinary that they like going abroad for other interests, other minors, a second major, that kind of stuff. And that might be a little bit better to suiting your needs within the program. As far as biology itself and EEB, we get a lot of EEB students who like to go abroad as well. Same boats in general. Try to avoid going abroad or counting on going abroad for your core classes. Going abroad for labs, not so much so. EEB field requirement is a little bit hit or miss. You can always ask. At the end of the day, please do ask. We love receiving your requests. We do genuinely evaluate each request, and we are happy to work with you if you're trying to put together a plan. But the sooner that you contact us, the sooner we know you're interested, and then we can help you out that way.
Awesome. So getting into a couple of programs that could be of interest to you. So first of all is Global Health and Development Policy in Switzerland. So this program is in Nyon, Switzerland, and it's with SIT. The program allows, I should say winter semester, but the students will earn 16 credits and then students take 5 courses. So development policy and health, perspectives on global health, a French language course, which you can't use. So if you're wanting to work on your French language requirement, you can't use it there. And then there's a research methods and ethics class and a independent study project and this class as well. And as well with this one, students can do homestay as well as excursion housing, because you actually will be able to do a little bit of traveling with this program. And this program is with my colleague Elise. Next is also with Elise. So this is a multi-country program. It is a health and community program where students will go on kind of varying routes, but the most recent one is students started in the United States, went to India, South Africa, and Argentina, exploring how health and community look like across different continents. This one's also with SAT. And students also kind of have a fixed curricula of health, culture, and community, globalization and health, public health from biology to policy, and community health and research methods. And because of its travel-focused kind of nature, there's really a whole mix of different housing types that students will be doing on this particular program. And finally, for this section is Humanities and Social Sciences in Sorrento. Sorrento is a lovely place in Italy where you can study at the Sant'Anna Institute, and students will earn between 12 to 15 credits. There is one required Italian language course, so you can help get more immersed into the culture, and then students have the options for courses in health sciences, or in natural sciences, with course options available linked here. Also, I don't think I mentioned it before, but you guys will get a copy of all this presentation, so you can actually utilize these links as long as you signed up on sessions in advance. And then choices are between dorms, on and off campus, shared apartments, and homestays. And this program is about to switch over from my colleague, my colleague Sarah, to Eli at the beginning of May. Additional majors. So there's so many more majors that we're not hitting on, but here are a couple more that I have chatted with and kind of gotten a little bit of information from them based on student interest. So chemistry, the chemistry department utilizes the same policy for study abroad as they do for domestic transfer credit. So first of all, students should check and see the transfer and credit equivalency database to see if there's any pre-approved courses. If not, students can request evaluation in their policy. Some courses are restricted to UM only, and I will say it is a bit of a higher bar for what they require when evaluating things. So do be mindful of that. This is the kind of major that you might want to think about quite a bit ahead of time about whether this is going to be doable for you, so you have the time to make sure it works for you and you're going to be able to get those credits. And for physics, for students who wish to petition for courses from abroad, you should check out the syllabi and the course description to a physics, or you should bring it to a physics faculty member, and they are actually the one who does the determination of the course eligibility. They don't get a ton of students that are petitioning, but definitely you still can. So multidiscipline, like I said, we have a ton more that are actually multidisciplinary in nature. So one very popular program that students go on across majors is our DIS program. So this is DIS Scandinavia in both Sweden and Denmark. So you pick one of the locations, either you want to be in Copenhagen or in Stockholm, and you apply with us and our DIS partner. And students are going to choose a core class. So, and the unique element of this one is that students will choose a core class of which they have a lot, and then they have a couple of travel weeks during the course of the program where they will be able to travel to another part of Scandinavia, and then also this larger travel period where you travel to another part of Europe entirely. So this is the one that comes top of my head because I sat in on this class. There was this really cool class called Prostitution and the Sex Trade, where they kind of explore what does that look like policies wise and things like that, health wise, in Denmark. And then the students for their extension, they got to go to Amsterdam and explore what does it actually look like to be in the practice in Amsterdam. It was very cool. And there's a whole slew of other courses in disciplines that you can do. As you can see from the subject area, computer science, cog sci, BCN, psychology, neuroscience, biology, public health, pre-health, like it kind of covers like the gamut. Students can choose a wide variety of elective courses aside from their core course that don't have to have any relation with their core course. And there's also a couple of them that have practicums. There's also labs you can do abroad and do research on the program. And then there's 3 different housing options: homestays, living learning communities, and the collegium, which is an apartment style housing with local students. And this one's under me. And major note with this one is the application deadline is quite early. We do highly recommend that students are going to complete an application by August 1st. Generally, students who complete application in August will have a totally fine time and it won't be competitive for them. If you apply later, the program does become more competitive. And then getting into all the other programs. So first of all, talking about our programs in the UK. So these are all advised by my wonderful colleague Elise. She actually had a whole session on programs in the UK, and all of these are going to go online. If you're looking at these and you're like, there's a lot of information on one page, she has a whole session all about the UK where you can look through them. But no, there are a lot of different ones. There's a lot of ones that are well suited for students who maybe can't find a lot of locations that are really well suited for their major. I would also say what we put here as course offerings is based on like the best guess from our team. So it's not guaranteed that like, yes, 100% like this is going to be great for you if you are a chem major. These are ones that we've seen, like there are courses in your major that you could potentially elect to do. We also indicate if a program is exchange or not. If you're not familiar with like exchange versus fee paying, do know exchange programs, you pay the same tuition as you're paying here at UM. These are really great for our in-state students so that you don't have to pay any additional costs to go abroad beyond, your normal tuition you're paying here. Fee paying programs tend to be better for our out-of-state students who things can actually become more affordable to go abroad than stay here on campus. And if it says no, then it will just be a fee paying program. And a couple of these are competitive: King's College London, University College London, and those are reflected in those earlier application deadlines in late August. Most of them though are at our standard deadline in September 15. And then when we get outside of the UK, we also have a variety of different options. So Universidad Carlos III of Madrid has some offerings for you. University College Dublin, the University of New South Wales, the University of Melbourne, and Yonsei University. And these are have a variety of advisors that work with these particular programs. So these can be great if you're looking to, one, you want to get out of Europe. We have some options outside of Europe, and also cover a variety of different discipline areas too. So yeah, additional notes. So course approvals, first of all. So as we've kind of mentioned previously, get the conversation going with your advisors, and we definitely recommend doing so early. If you're thinking about applying, this August, September, like have a conversation earlier in the summer rather than like right before the deadline, about, what program is going to be well suited for you. They can really help you kind of narrow down what requirements you have to be completing on campus versus what can be done abroad. For LSA students, you can receive in-residence credit on your transcript no matter what. So any class you take abroad will be automatically applied back towards your GPA and listed as in-residence credit. And then students do have the opportunity to take classes pass-fail if they so desire as well, though. For major and minor classes, consult with your major and minor departments like these lovely folks here, as well as checking out the pre-approvals listings if available on the by major pages. For distribution courses, so if you're thinking like humanities, social sciences, things like that are great to do abroad, and you'll just want to consult your general academic advisor. So when you're looking through, trying to find courses, narrow them down, find the syllabi, and set up an appointment or email over some examples of the classes you're interested in. And then with the multiple application policy, so we wanted to share that we do have a policy around applying to a bunch of different programs at once. So we really do only permit students to apply to a second or third application if the top choice program is competitive. Otherwise, as students will just apply for one if it's a non-competitive program. So essentially, let's take, for example, you're interested in DIS. DIS can be competitive. And so you would want to, first of all, rank it as your first choice if you're applying to multiple programs. So it always has to be ranked number one. So, like if you're interested in DIS and University College London, if you rank University College London as your second choice, we're not going to look at it because we want to make sure that we're not disadvantaging students and taking away spots from them. And also, you will have to do a ranking process, which we've attached here. But if you're interested in 2 competitive programs, you select one, and only the first ranked is reviewed. If you're interested in 2 non-competitive programs, you must only select one to apply to. You can apply to 2, and like students will ask, like, what if I want to apply to a bunch? You can, but we won't look at the other ones that are further back. So we'll look at your top choice ones, or your top and second if the first is competitive. There are a couple of funky situations where we do review third choice. Those are typically related to the UKs, where you can have a first and second choice that are both in the UK and then a third choice. But most of the time, this is kind of how the policy shakes out. And if you have any confusion and you're like, what does competitive mean? Because it can mean very, very competitive. And then it can mean it can definitely be competitive. You can always ask the advising team to kind of clarify things out for you. Financial aid. So if you want to use your financial aid towards study abroad, we absolutely recommend that you do so. So we have the ability for you to check out this study abroad estimate worksheet. You'll input the numbers of what the program costs that come from Compass, send that over to the financial aid office at their study abroad email, and they'll send back to you what is workable for your financial aid process. Just be mindful, you do have to be taking a minimum of 12 credits in the fall and winter term programs to be eligible for financial aid, but definitely utilize it. And then LSA Study Abroad Scholarship. If you are financial aid eligible and you're an LSA student, you are eligible for the LSA Study Abroad Scholarship. You'll want to apply to that by November 30th for the winter. The deadlines change based on the time you're applying. For the winter programs, it's November 30, and the applications open in October. And majority of the students are going to get some kind of funding between $1,000 and $10,000. And you can meet with their advisors to talk about what that might look like for you in particular. We also highly recommend that you check out our additional scholarships page, which lists departmental scholarships scholarships from our partners, like unit and university and international scholarships and things like that to check out. Finally, I want to mention the CGIS website and advising. So if you're kind of looking for where to get started, you can check out the CGIS website. You can also check out mCompass. I would say mCompass is like takes a little bit to get figured out. So often the CGIS website can be a great place to start, and you'll make sure that you're not like looking through programs that are non-CGIS. And then you can also check out our CGIS advising page, which I've screenshotted here, where you can, check out like how to meet up with our peer advisors, how Credit Abroad works, group advising sessions, FAQs for our popular programs, and how to schedule an advising appointment with our team. Finally, thank you. Thank you for coming today, and I will take any questions the students have at this time.